Right, in this video I'm going to show you exactly how to mechanically buff in some oil onto a wood floor. This floor is freshly been sanded today. We've given it a very good hoover out to enable it to get some actual oil on this floor. You're going to need a few things. If you're going to buff it in, you're going to need a buffer. We recommend a white pad for this, some logo oil, some rags to be on the safe side, and of course some gloves. The idea is, with the white pad, what we want to do is, we're just going to spread the oil around and make sure it's as completely dried off as possible. What you will notice as well with these white pads, you don't need a brush for this job. Take out the middle of the white pad. You can pop that white pad onto the floor, put the oil into the centre, and that's when you start brushing it around quite nicely. This little piece here, we can dip that straight into the oil, and then we can get around all of the edges with that. The trick is not to flood the oil. A lacquer sits on top of the floor and creates a film. A bit like putting 3 layers of sellotape across your floor. Fine. And oil penetrates into the floor and protects it from within. So what we don't want to do is create a big film on the floor. Thinner is better when it comes to oil wood floors, contrary to what that may seem. So what we're going to do is, we're going to get everything going. We know where we're at. We've got our oil, we've got our pads, got our gloves on. First thing we'll do is pop this open, give it a very good stir, and make sure all of that oil is nicely mixed together. Pour some into that white pad, and then we can start moving it around from there.
So we begin by applying the oil around the edges first. You can do it before, you can do it after. There isn't a right, there isn't a wrong. Once that's done in small sections, we can then pour some of the oil into the white pad and start moving around. What you'll notice is we start in the middle of the floor. That way we can move the oil around as much as physically possible. We're going to dry that white pad off as much as we possibly can do, because again, we want this as dry as possible. What you'll notice here is I'm just going around the edges over the wet oil with a towel. I'm just drying off those edges. I'm using that same towel to dry off the centre of the floor. We're going to get rid of that towel. We're going to put some more oil into the middle of that white pad. Again, starting in the centre, so we can just get that oil all over the place without actually flooding the place. And again, we're going to repeat the process. We're going to dry it off with that towel. There we go again. Drying it off, making sure it's as dry as physically possible. We do not want this to film like a lacquer. Going over the edges again with the wet white pad from the centre of it. Now we're going to apply some more oil to that. We only want a little bit at this point because we're getting towards the end of the door. Again, we don't want to flood this. Less is more, as my wife always says. You can add, but you can't take away. So again, I'm standing on that wet oil here. Once we've gone over that, we're going to dry off all of those edges, put that towel back on, and we are just going to dry the entire floor. And it is as simple as that. As Mr. Miyagi says, wax on, wax off. Here's the after finish.